You want to know how I feel at the moment about life? A little bit helpless, kind of. A little bit helpless because there's a lot going on right now that I would like to change or be a part of or make a difference in, but I can't because I don't have the power to do that. And I think the world is going crazy.
In questo mondo non bene perché si corre troppo, si lavora troppo in questo mondo.
Ich fühle mich, als wäre ich streckenweise in lauter kleine Teile zerrissen, die sich in Luft auflösen und die dann wieder so watsch auf den Fußboden knallen. Und ich bin manchmal etwas desorientiert und weiß nicht recht, wo der rote Faden sich befindet und wo der Weg lang geht. Aus irgendwelchen unerfindlichen Gründen finde ich dann doch immer irgendwo ein Korn und picke es auf. Vielleicht sollte ich es einsetzen und ja, also ich lebe, glaube ich, das ganz normale klassische Erdenleben.
The Earth, for some strange reason, is exactly in the right place relative to the Sun, the amount of energy it receives for life to exist. If it was something in the region of twice the orbit of the Moon, nearer to the Sun, and twice the orbit of the Moon further away from the Sun, we would freeze to death or we would boil. But there wouldn't be any in between. Oddly enough, if you actually hold your little finger up and up to the Moon, you'll see that your little finger covers it. If you hold your little finger up to the Sun, you'll see it does exactly the same thing. The Moon is exactly the same size as the Sun relative to our vision from Earth. Not many people realize that. They go, oh, it's a solar eclipse, and they see the Moon completely cover the Sun. But no one ever asks the question, why is the Moon exactly the same size as the Sun as seen from Earth?
I mean God. When I say higher power, I mean God, because there is a God. Yeah, I believe that there is a God, let's put it that way. I think if you want to feel it, you'll feel it. It all depends on you, yourself, and I feel it. I know He's here. I mean, because I'm breathing and I'm talking, it's not just from the, I mean, it's not just from anywhere. It's all, there has to be some other power out there. I believe that. I believe that very much. And my parents told me that's God. And so, I believe that.
People are willing to put anything, any amount of energy, any amount of emotional energy into a subject which they really believe in, including relationships. And the question is suspension of disbelief really necessary for human happiness? If it is, then of course that explains a lot about what we know about ourselves, but which we cannot explain in any normal way. And it certainly explains a lot about the fact that we want to discover things and really know them in our hearts so that we don't feel insecure. We're happiest, a lot of people are happiest when they don't know what's going to happen next, but the majority are happiest when they know exactly what's going to be predictable.
Wie fühle ich mich in dieser Welt? Gestresst, überfordert, meistens durch meine Familie, glücklich und sehr oft auch gut aufgehoben.
Wir haben eine Tochter, wir sind eigentlich beide Freelancer und da ist manchmal die Organisation auch des Privatlebens und auch des beruflichen Lebens halt ein bisschen schwierig. Das ist dann oft auch anstrengend und dann muss man auf viele Dinge verzichten. Weil einen Moment, ich muss da schnell mal Das ist nämlich auch Teil meines Jobs leider. Servus, darf ich dich zurückrufen? Wir kriegen auch dafür bezahlt, muss man ja sagen. Und jetzt dieser Wechsel in den anderen Rhythmus, das ist natürlich dann auch ein bisschen schwierig manchmal. Und das fällt uns halt vielleicht auch nicht so. Aber er hat auch was Gutes. Also wir wollen ja auch ein Zuhause haben.
If you were to ask anybody, how is reality really constructed, they couldn't tell you. We've tried to make our own impressions about what reality should be and how it should be translated ourselves. This is no more than our form of the dream time. In other words, we're not in control of really in control of our own destiny. It seems to me that the organisation of society just actually occurred on a completely historical and accumulative basis. And that just seems to be human nature. But the question is, would we have been happier if we'd stayed as tribes of upright apes running around the savannas of Africa? Or are we happier now? We will never answer that question. But there are certain goals that society sets for itself which would make everybody happy, so to say. Like, for example, making some kind of discovery which allows us to travel faster than the speed of light. That would, of course, open up colonization of the galaxy, so to say. But there are complications involved in these dreams which are far from surmountable at the moment and will not be in the foreseeable future as far as I can see.
When you view the news and speak to friends, it does give a bit of a feeling of like perhaps loneliness or a little bit of sadness. But I think on a day-to-day level, as I'm lucky to live in places where the hotspots aren't really taking place, it doesn't affect me on a day-to-day level because my personal safeties aren't really insured.
Makes me feel like part of my place has been taken away, that I had a stand but I've got to stand on one leg now because they want the ground from underneath my other leg, so I'm standing on one leg rather than standing on two.
The world is more of a global place for everybody. You are able to meet each and everyone within a very short time, and I think that's one great thing about the world today. Yeah.
Lost. No, I mean, not really lost, but in a way I have to know where I belong. I think I never will know it exactly, so I try the best to find a place where I really want to stay, not forever, but for a longer time than a year or something like this.
There's a lot going on today, and there's a lot going on out there that shouldn't be happening, but it is happening anyway, and I feel helpless because I can't do anything about it and I can't influence anything. For me personally, it's more about my country where I come from, because basically before you try to fix other people's land or other people's country, you have to start at home first, because charity begins at home, they say. And I know that in my country there are many children who can't go to school, they don't have enough food, or they have no one to inspire them, or I would like to start there. I would like to start there. It's a very big dream of mine, to be able to reach, young children.
We come from South Africa. Yeah.
Is there many differences between South Africa and Europe, or what are your impressions?
There are big differences, I think. It's just so much more advanced, and just the people, just the whole lifestyle, hey? Yeah.
I think that's all about lifestyle these days. Lifestyle has become all about, how much money you have. Lifestyle is all about where do you go out, where do you hang out, what kind of people do you hang out with. That's all about lifestyle today, actually.
What would you mean by saying advanced?
Just the facilities and the infrastructure, just everything about Europe. It's just so much ahead. Yeah.
So you like it?
Oh, yes.
Awesome.
Very
really
much.
Good. Really good. Would you like to make more, use of such advantage?
Oh yes, no, definitely. Yeah.
Film oder Fernsehen oder Werbung, das sind halt lauter Dinge, die irgendwie das perfekte Leben vorgaukeln, beziehungsweise auch sein Lebensstil, der eigentlich total unwichtig ist, also somit die unwichtigen Dinge immer über den wichtigeren Dingen stehen und irgendwie so alles verloren geht. Also was mir eigentlich jetzt wichtig wäre.
The diversity, the wonder of it all is exactly what drives us. And human beings, I think, will always compete with each other because they create wonder when they do compete with each other. If they do not compete with each other, then you end up with a horrible, sluggish, inefficient system like the old Soviet state, for example. And competition is nature, red in tooth and claw, as he said. And I think it's very, very fair to say that if we try to derive ourselves somehow from our competitive roots, we will become decadent, we will become ancient Rome, we will fall. But fortunately for us, because we have our roots in ancient Rome, we also know what happened to ancient Rome. We're very aware of becoming redundant within our own civilization.
TV doesn't answer your questions.
Actually, it always creates some sort of reality, and either you adapt and you identify or you don't.
Or you don't. That's it.
And I think also you get rather tempted to identify because you are in a passive situation. Just, that's what you said. You're just watching. Actually, you are asked to believe that what you see is true.
That's it. You have to believe what you see. And I learned that we cannot believe everything we see there, because sometimes some of these things are made up.
Io faccio assistenza ai computer per una multinazionale e capisco perché noi siamo come robot comandati da loro. Noi siamo come tanti robot in una catena di montaggio. Tu fai questo e a parte le tue cose non puoi andare oltre, non puoi usare la fantasia e quello. Traffico, lavoro, clienti che pressano, che urlano e arrivo la sera, KO.
Man braucht im Prinzip ja nur durch die Stadt zu gehen und zu schauen, was da so ist. Also die ganzen Werbeplakate, alles kriegt man um die Ohren geschlagen, auch im Fernsehen, und irgendwie habe ich mir so das Gefühl, es geht alles immer so ständig bergab und nach unten, und es ist überhaupt nie mehr irgendwie so ein Hinterfragen, was ist wichtig im Leben, sondern einfach nur um irgendwelche Konsumartikel, um irgendwas zu verkaufen, und dann eben im Speziellen geht es ja dann weiter, indem dass man sich selbst ja auch verkaufen muss.
Es ist ein ständiger Zweifel, ob ich wohl richtig mitdenke, ob ich wohl das jetzt richtig mache. Will ich mich dem länger aussetzen? Will ich da mitmachen? Ist es mir das überhaupt wert? Der Stress, die Arbeitssituation, der Konkurrenzkampf.
Do you think it's going to become more collective, or do you think it's going to become more fragmented?
I think it's going to become a lot more fragmented. We're going to start seeing a lot of evolution actually occurring from different points in completely different directions within inner human thought space. And the other interesting point is that I also believe that all of it will share a certain cultural reference point, which is exactly the media that we're using. People are trying very, very hard now to curtail the number of media devices, for example, and formats which are available. That would be a good thing, because at least it allows evolution to take place from a single platform. But does it matter? It's just another form of digital interpretation. I'm not sure if it does matter. Maybe even having more exotic and more differentiated devices from each other, or within the diaspora of these groups which are competing with each other in evolutional terms. Maybe it's good to diversify. Who knows? It seems to be that in nature, diversification has always been a very, very, very big key to success. And certainly a good lesson in that not taking place would be the banana. In 10 years, the banana is going to be extinct. For the simple reason that every single banana that we have at the moment in the world is not evolving. It has the same genetic code. We may not continue to expand. We may not. If we don't move into new volumes, the human race just doesn't evolve. It just vitrifies. It just becomes this kind of sessile thing. That's why so many of the other forms of sapient apes died out, because they lost the competition for expanding in landscape.
I'm always thinking about my position in the world and what I should do or what I should not do.
Maybe I feel more lost in a way that I don't know really where my work, or I should find an anchor for my work, you know, because through the media world we have so many roots. We have not only our roots from where we were born, we have roots from all over the world, and so it's maybe a kind of freedom, or in a way a kind of feeling more free, but on the other hand it's really hard that you don't lose the plot.
Also ich kann mich jetzt selbst belügen und sagen, es ist eigentlich eh alles super und mich jetzt in meine Welt hineindenken, wo halt es wirklich gut ist. Oder wo man dann eben aus der Welt hinausfällt, wenn man dann merkt, dass es doch nicht so ist. Und eigentlich geht es mir im Moment damit nicht wirklich gut. Also es ist irgendwie so... Ja, es ist eigentlich mehr so extreme Unsicherheit.
It is an idea of the West itself to see itself as a decadent society and like it, and you know, to have pleasure to think about its own decay.
I'm pretty convinced that always came a little bit from envious people who used to live in ancient Rome and actually see, you know, how the emperors used to lord it over everybody. And of course, given that ancient Rome was probably pretty much one of the cradles of Western civilization, I'd say probably the model which is being referred to more than any other model, including ancient Greece, for all their philosophy and excellence. I would actually state that we live in a society where the politics of envy are actually part of necessity. If we didn't actually envy people, if there wasn't something to look up to, what would drive us on?
It has all become about money and how much you earn and stuff like that. It shouldn't be that way, because if we all still have our belief, if we do still have our belief, then of course we still believe in humanity then. Because if you believe in God, you believe automatically in humanity. And if you believe in God, you believe in miracles. And if you believe in God, you have faith. There is no other way about it. It's either you believe or you don't. And if you believe, then you want to help other people. And if you believe, you want to share.
Some people interpret their reality, or we are all fed reality, through this interface, through this digital interface, which deconstructs that reality and then reconstructs it in a different location. The point I was trying to make is that reality or not? And I don't think that it actually is reality. Many changes could have taken place within transmission. Of course, we know to an absolute value, when we're actually making some form of estimation of what's taking place, that this isn't the case. But there's always the sneaking suspicion. Who says that we're not being interfered with? Who says that the reality as we perceive it is not like that movie, The Matrix?
It was amazing, really. It's just a big all-round thrill, basically.
Yeah, it was pretty mad. It was just when you're sitting at the top, and when you come over the top, face down, going straight towards the ground at 110 kilometres, just fantastic. It's just a rush, yeah.
The old G-force is intense. Old 4.2 Gs. It's just everything's just rushing through you at once. It's just amazing, really.
Fantastic.
course the kids are lost today. They know a lot about computers and stuff, and they're much more smart than we were, but still, humanitarian purposes, they are lost completely. You know, completely lost. Or being there for their brothers, because we don't teach them anymore that, hey, you have to be there for your younger one. You have to be there, you have to take care of your sister. You know, these days you have a 12-year-old who says, oh, my 2-year-old brother is making me stress. I wasn't brought up that way. I was brought up, my younger brother I have to take care of. In Africa, it takes a whole village to raise a child. It's not just your child, it's my child as well. It's their child as well as their child is my child. And if I would see a child on the streets doing something wrong, it's my duty as an adult to tell that child, you can't do that, even when the parents are not there. And when the parents see me next time, I would tell them, and they would usually say, thank you, that you corrected my child.
But I think my daughter helps me a lot to know where I belong. It's a daily routine that helps me, or not helps me, sometimes I hate it, but that I have not that much time to think about and not that much time to travel anymore. So you think maybe you belong more, yeah, to the place where I live now.
The more we understand about reality, the more crazy our ideas become about our explanations which allow us to cope with reality. And the more complex we make it for ourselves, and the more ideas we add in, whether they be science fictional or real, the more the human race actually starts to interpret the wrong idea about reality. This is the problem. What is reality now? We've introduced a whole new layer of existence. We've introduced a real dream time, a real place where the voices really do speak back at us. And 200, 300 years ago, a human being would have thought that was a wonderful thing, and we just completely take it for granted that we can see people who have been dead for 100 years move around on film, that we can actually experience a little bit of what it may have been like. No one's ever done that before. I think that's pretty cool, and I also think it's going to change exactly the whole way that we look at our ancestors. And therefore it's going to change our dream time.
I feel like that the world has taken something off me, a part of who I am, and I don't know how to get it back. And what I'm talking about is my culture and how they've destroyed the world by globalisation and taking the things that I use, they've taken them off me, and I haven't got the tools to get them back, and that's why I'm being arrested quite regularly at what I do.
We should feel like this about having to accept produce that is not organic, and we should feel we're being forced, and we should do something about it, because it should be a choice. We should feel tired about not able to decide what we eat and what we plant, and about our diversity, biodiversity. This is just how we should feel tired.
Chaos, in my opinion, is only order that we don't understand the resolution of. Is there really chaos in the universe? No, not really, because if you take the whole sum of every event that takes place in the universe, many people believe that that will lead to a singular energistic state which we call entropy. That would mean that all of the events that led to that point of entropy, where all energy is equalized throughout the universe and no events are taking place any longer, would mean that that would be the steady and constant and permanent state of the universe, and everything else that's happened before was just a flash in the pan that occurred right at the very, very beginning, before the proper universe was set up.
Universe, people talk about universe. I really can't get in touch with that because I don't really know what that. I have friends who say, oh, let Mother Nature or let universe take care of it. And I usually say, let God take care of it. You know? But I think it all has to do, it's all the same. It's just, most people don't want to make other people think, oh, she's a Christian and she's a born again and she's talking about God all the time. So they say universe, but deep down they know, I think. Deep down we all know.
And I think everything is too yeah.
So it's about simply being.
Simply being, yes. I think we lost our emotions.
Life is all about emotions. If you can't show your emotions anymore, you're not alive anymore. That's what I feel. Or that's been brought up to believe. I think that when you are poor, when people are poor, they really need to believe in something also. But when we've got it all, then we feel, well, I have everything, what do I have to believe in God for? I made everything by myself, or I made it. And that's, I mean, should I talk about Austria a little bit? When I came to Austria the first time, I saw the most beautiful churches in Austria and they were all empty, and I asked why. Because in my country, people have to bring their own chairs to be in the church.
About my place in the world?
Yeah, about the world.
About the world? I don't think it's all right now.
It's not all right now?
No, never.
Why?
Because there's a lot of problems, there's a lot of people suffering. So it can't be all right.
We're looking in towards the more macro levels, and we're looking into more micro levels. We're being very cosmological in a lot of ways, and we're discovering a lot more, but no one's really interested in putting a man on the moon. No one really wants human exploration of the solar system. So it means that we're more inward looking again. You know, we're more concerned about the environment nowadays, and we're delaying what's going to happen in the exploration of the rest of the universe until we've sorted out some other problems. And this is a form of maturity which I see in Western circles, which I didn't expect to see back in the 1970s, for example, when I first understood the problem.
And then the power that you yourself have, because we all do have the power, if we believe in it, which again comes back to faith.
And I think that's good, but it's also good that we're pumping money into space stations. I know this International Space Station is a big, expensive white elephant, and it doesn't serve any real purpose except a Cold War one. Nonetheless, the fact that we just have one footstep in space, one platform, one hitching post, means that we're keeping the dream alive of traveling into the rest of the universe. And I think that's very, very important. And again, it gets back to what we were saying earlier on, okay? What is the next pioneering trigger? What is the next thing that takes the human race forward? To us at the moment it's space, but maybe we will, by looking inside more, find something else which is even more important to us than space. But I think that when that happens, that we should fear for our evolutionary vigor.
I don't think a world war is about to break out, but I think some sporadic outbreaks will occur, and I think it will have an effect on global geopolitics, but I don't think it will really amount to an all-out disruption of civilization.
Es ist ein schreckliches Armutszeugnis, dass jährlich 800.000 Kinder in Afrika sterben. Der Hunger fällt ja schließlich nicht vom Himmel. Es geht darum, dass die Ursachen für solche Not erforscht werden und dass darüber nachgedacht wird, wie Hunger und Dürre bekämpft werden können. Und eines der ganz großen Anliegen ist, da steht außer Zweifel, dass man zu internationalen Formen der Besteuerung kommen muss, damit dann Investitionen finanziert werden.
It makes me feel unsure as to what the next moves will be with the controlling powers, as there's so many internal factors that aren't brought out into the public view, so it's difficult to predict exactly what will happen. Obviously it's a very important issue, and these things need to be addressed. It's just at this stage because institutions such as the UN have really shown weak resolve to do actually implementing their decisions.
Lifestyle has become an economical issue, guys. Check it. Sorry. No, I'm being funny.